If there is one thing we never seem to have enough of, it's time. When you're having a difficult conversation, there's always that part of you that's thinking, how long is this going to take? How can I save time? So, what if everything you thought you knew about this was wrong? Hey guys, in case you're new here, my name is Hayden Richards. I am an emergency doctor, and this is Comms Lab. On this channel, we explore the art and science of communication to help you unlock the power of difficult conversations. Have you ever noticed that whenever you're having a difficult conversation, you're constantly making decisions about what direction to take the conversation next? On the one hand, you have your agenda, whatever you've come into the conversation to achieve. And on the other hand, you have a constant flow of data coming from the other person who you're talking with. This can come in the form of subtle, non-verbal cues, or it can come in the form of more overt, verbal cues. When it comes to cues, the first challenge is to actually just pick up on them. But the second challenge is working out how to respond to them. Okay, Gats. Look, I just need to finish what I'm doing here, mate. If you look at the literature on verbal and non-verbal cues, what it shows is that we're actually pretty good at picking up on them. But what we kind of suck at is responding to them. Whenever you see or hear a cue, it's always tempting to think to yourself, do I really want to go there? Looks like a can of worms to me. I don't think I've got time for this. So what we tend to do is ignore the cue. Now, when the other person stops showing their verbal or non-verbal cue to us, it can be tempting to think, phew, dodged a bullet there. Of course, there is almost always a critical piece of information behind that cue, which now we might never find out. Or when we do find out, it's because it's led to some kind of minor or maybe major disaster that inevitably takes way longer to clean up than if we just address the cue in the first place. Oh no, Gatsby! So what does the academic literature say about the effect of responding to cues on time efficiency and productivity? In this study, published in JAMA, researchers found that doctors who acknowledged the cues of their patients, on average, completed their consultations 2.5 minutes sooner. And in this review article, better doctor-patient communication was conclusively linked to better patient outcomes. That means that effectively responding to cues enables us to get more done in less time with better outcomes. That sounds like the Holy Grail to me. So how might these cues show up in real life? And how can we respond to them effectively? Here's some examples. What's on your mind? Really? I've seen what that can do. Tell me, what have you seen? Do I really have to stay, Doc? I mean, why can't I just go home? Do you mind if I ask what's worrying you? Maybe take a look at that last one again. Notice that the cue was actually a question, but I didn't immediately respond to the question at a surface level by explaining my position. In other words, even though the cue sounded like a cognitive message, it was actually an emotional response. And I responded to that cue by exploring it. I wanted to know more about what was behind that question. Now, that's not to say I won't eventually get round to explaining my concern. But if I have a better understanding of what the other person's ideas, concerns, and expectations are, I'll be able to frame that concern in a way that makes better sense to them and is therefore more likely to align with their priorities and is therefore something that they are more likely to agree with. This in turn means that I'll spend less time explaining myself overall and hopefully avoid a situation where I feel like I have to argue my case. For me, this is the essence of trust-based influence. And I want to tell you, when I finally understood this, everything changed about the way I had difficult conversations. I was used to approach these things in a way that felt more like an argument or a discussion or a debate. I used to respond to questions purely with more information or trying to explain myself. But by exploring more of the emotional side of things, by exploring more of what's behind these questions, what's behind these cues, what I found was that I was able to align myself better with people, with patients, with colleagues, with whoever. And that meant that the outcomes from these conversations were almost always better and resulted in solutions that suited everyone. Anyway, that's something we'll go more into in a future video. For now, the main message I want to share with you is this. If you want to save time with your difficult conversations, you may need to practice doing something that goes against your intuition. Whenever you pick up on some cue, subtle or obvious, verbal or non-verbal, and you hear that little voice in your head saying, "Don't go there," go there. Explore the cue. See where it leads, whether you're taking a history from a patient or negotiating a contract worth $1 million. Is that a big contract these days? I feel like $1 million is not a big contract these days. Maybe it's worth $1 billion. Picking up on the cues will, on average, save you time, and it will greatly increase the likelihood that you will arrive at a solution that both you and the other person will be able to commit to. Now, of course, there's always a balance to be struck with difficult conversations. We can't afford to give away control of the conversation completely. We need to be able to reliably direct the conversation while still maintaining trust and rapport. If you're interested in the most useful skill to help you do that, you should definitely check out this video next. If you found this video helpful, you should really subscribe to the channel. Gatsby and I release a new video every week where we try to package up some communication skills gem into a delicious little nugget of digestible goodness. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.